Israeli airlines warned tonight that flights between Israel and Dubai will be disrupted as early as this Sunday. This is a result of an ongoing aviation security dispute between the two countries. First serious dispute, if you will, since the signing of the Abraham Accords. Thousands of ticket holders will be affected come Sunday. With me here is I-24 News diplomatic correspondent Eilon. Hi.
Hello.
Israeli airlines are furious about this. What's happening?
Outraged because it is allegedly a security-related problem that can be solved diplomatically, but they're saying follow the money, friends. Okay, so what happened is that the Dubai authorities notified the airlines, notified Israel altogether only last week that those new security measures are kickstarting as of next week. Take care of it, guys, please. They didn't, and now airline chiefs are outraged, really, urging Prime Minister Bennett to get involved immediately. They're saying, well, while the Internal Security Agency is taking its time with approving or ratifying those new security measures, it would mean that we will have only a very limited quota of only 3 flights per day instead of the numerous we have so far, meaning that the Dubai airlines will be taking over, and this is why they're saying it's an economic issue, not a diplomatic one, and not really a security-related
one. Right, and they have a good reason to suspect that because we have the Turkish precedent. What happened with that?
It rings some bells, definitely. It's more or less exactly the same thing that happened with Turkey a few years ago. Then it was 2 security reasons cited, but until this very day, Jacob, it's Turkish airlines that are operating those very sought-after routes between Ankara or Istanbul and Israel, and not the Israeli airlines. So once again, who is making the big bucks? The Turks, not the Israelis. And this is why the Israelis now fear it will happen, and the same will happen rather vis-a-vis Dubai. By the way, the flights to Abu Dhabi are as is at this point in time.
Right. But so far, no word from the Israeli government about this.
No word, but perhaps, if I may, what better sign of normalization than disputes? Right, this is as normal as it gets between allies.
Probably. Ellie,
some indications.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our correspondent in Dubai, Bastian Bory, is joining us from there to talk about what's the Dubai side of the story. Bastian.
We are hearing from sources here that the issue could be the UAE's refusal to protect Israeli passengers at Dubai airport, as it is the case in many airports throughout the world, with special marked areas in the check-in terminal, Israeli guards, armed sky marshals, and so on. And so far, the only offer on the table is to reroute flights to Abu Dhabi. But frankly, it is hard to believe that it is going to happen. First, because Abu Dhabi is not a destination favored by the Israelis here, and also because it adds more than an hour of driving to reach Dubai, $80 if you take a cab, given that the 2 cities are still not connected by rail. So in short, Abu Dhabi may be an option security-wise, but it's not an economic one. And if thousands of Israelis are not able to fly to the UAE, well, the impact would be anything but negligible. The goal of the 2 countries is actually to go further in terms of tourist travel. The latest known figures on that matter date from last October. At that time, 250,000 Israelis had already come to the Emirates in the space of a year since the signing of the Abraham Accords. And today, it could be up to twice as high, given the facilities granted by the Emiratis to the Israelis who come here. No more quarantine, visa-free regime, for instance, a measure that came into force at the end of last year and which saves today money and time, money for tourists, because an entry visa here costs more than $100 and major expense for some. And then time for business people, because commercial cooperation is moving forward fast between the 2 countries.
Thank you, Bastian. On the phone now is Zev Sarig, former managing director of Ben Gurion Airport in Israel. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Yaakov.
Why is this so important for Israel to have armed security people on and around airplanes?
I'm following the developing of aviation security in Israel as from the beginning. Let's say from the massacre of Kozo Okamoto in Ben Gurion Airport, then Sabena, and then other event on 76 that one of our security girls exploded with the explosion of a suitcase. So the Israeli security, aviation security, developed methods and ways that became the leading methods in the world. All the world copying the Israeli way of handling aviation security. And that's why we are insisting on a method that will ensure that our passengers and the airplanes will be safe in the air and on the ground. That's the reason. Now, to compromise on security, there is a cost, and the cost might be very painful. That's the reason we are insisting. I believe that the authorities are insisting to follow the methods that we developed all over the years. And we are handling all over the world right now, except Turkey.
Yeah, so I want to make this clear. Except for the Turkey case, there aren't any other problems elsewhere in the world?
So far, so good.
Even in Arab countries that Israeli airlines used to fly to or fly to?
Once you don't hear anything, it means that everything runs fluidly. And the problem is this. It might be a commercial problem, which you know that all the agreements among countries and the companies, aviation and so-called the aviation field, based on reciprocity and equality. It means that once you give permission to other country to land in Israel, you expect to get the same permission to land over there with the same quantity of landing and takeoff from each airport. And it should be equal. Now, what is happening is this. Once they limit the security operation, it means that we can't fly to Dubai. It means that they have to find other alternatives to continue to serve the passengers to this area, to that area, and the connection flights from that area to elsewhere in the east.
Right.
So, you know, once it's an Arab country, it's more sensitive, but it might be only kind of a commercial misunderstanding.
Still misunderstanding. I'll thank you at this point, Mr. Zev Sarig. Thank you very much, former managing director of Ben Gurion Airport. Elia, I'll get back to you for a final word. The Israeli government cannot afford to have this escalating into a major thing. They would have to do something about it soon, right?
Right, absolutely. And this is why, again, the Israeli airline chiefs are urging Naftali Bennett, the prime minister himself, to get involved to try and smooth things over. They too are citing the exact same reasons, or claiming for a commercial discrimination here. And again, they're urging him not to turn it into a metastasizing diplomatic crisis, because it's not. It's an economic issue that can't be smoothed over. Just needs some willpower and you know, a serious boost in the time frame. But it can be done, and I will dare to assume it will be done.